Hello everyone and welcome back to the Grandmaster Chess Speedrun. Having crossed 2000 Elo, I'm now taking on viewer requests, and in this one we're going to try and play a Catalan. And if we can't play a Catalan, then we'll get some kind of position with a fianchettoed bishop. So yeah, we might not exactly get the Catalan, which is the move order of like this, but we're at least going to get something similar. Okay, they go for d6 here, and I guess I'm just going to go for knight to f3, stopping their pawn to e5 push right in its tracks. And now they're going for g6. So they're going for a King's Indian defense kind of position with the bishop going out here. We can play a very, very similar Catalan setup. Ideas are completely different, but we are fianchettoing the bishop like this on the long diagonal, and especially after they move their bishop out, that could get a little bit shaky. But I think for now, I'll probably just castle my king, get it nice and safe, and see what they come up with. Okay, they decided to go queen to c8. They want to trade off my light square bishop, but this is actually a very bad plan. The reason this is a bad plan is because I'm going to go knight c3, and I'm going to go e4, and then I'm going to go d5. And so, actually, my bishop in many cases would end up being blocked in, and not a very good piece. So I'm just going to keep taking space in the center and say, why exactly have you wasted 3 moves to try and exchange just a random bishop on the side of the board? I don't think it's so impressive. They've gotten so aggressive on the side of the board that I think the time has almost come to strike. And we're doing a little bit of concrete calculation here, because after I push this pawn to e5, the knight doesn't have many good squares to go. If it goes to d7, the bishop drops. If it goes to g4, the bishop drops. So it kind of has to go back. But what I would actually expect is that after e5, they would throw in a bishop takes bishop, king takes the bishop back, and then decide to move the knight somewhere. But it's still very, very awkward. Here, h3, knight goes over here. I'm tearing you open, and let's just play e5. Okay, so they opt for bishop takes on g2, which really seems like the only logical move. And then they go for knight d7. But their king is in the center, and I'm knocking on the door. I'm taking on d6. What are you going to do about it? They decide to play h4. I mean, they're all in at this point. I don't even really know what they're doing, to be quite honest. I can just capture on e7 here, get them to take with the bishop, and then all of a sudden, I'm lining up huge pressure down on this pinned pawn. I am not interested in whatever you're doing on the side of the board, not at all impressed, and let's capture down the center. They take with the bishop. I'm putting a rook on the middle. You can't castle, sir. They've decided to move the king over, and I'm very tempted by this move. I would love to sack an exchange right now. Just lure that king back into the center. It looks so delicious. We'll take a look at a couple alternatives, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to go for this one. They're so undeveloped. Queen looks like a fool. Like, the rook is in the... You know what? I'm sacking the rook. I'm not thinking about it anymore. 100% that is going to count as a brilliant move, although it's quite an obvious move as well. Let's get into the attack. Already I'm thinking developing with a check looks very logical. If they play this move, then all of a sudden the g6 square is looking very tender as well. Yeah, let's develop the bishop with a check. Why not? I slightly considered b3, but it's just too slow. It's not in the spirit of the attack. Okay, now we have to be a tiny bit careful, because queen e2, they probably go queen e8. And I don't really want to trade queens, even though the ending's still quite nice. What I think I might settle on is queen to d2. And it makes some threats on this dark square diagonal, also looks to bring the rook into the attack. That looks quite good. Alternatively, I could play something like pawn d5, going for queen d4 with an immediate attack on the rook. That looks also extremely good. Yes, this d5 move looks very strong, actually. Let's play d5, opening up a square for the queen in the center, like this. They check me, I have no interest, I don't care. I mean, your queen is so far away from getting in there that it's just almost irrelevant. And now they play f6, another weakening move. I think the time has come to bring the queen in. Just have to watch out for some c5 move, but then I have queen to f4, and I'm going queen d6. I'm pinning you, so this looks very tasty for us. Okay, they decide to get the rook out of the pin. But I almost just want to bring another piece into the fire. Yeah, just sacrifice the bishop. Knight takes it like this. Then what's going on? kind of have to play rook g7. Very ugly looking move. I have knight e6 fork, captures and get the rook in. Let's go to town. Let's bring the rook into the party. We are not putting the brakes on. We are going full steam ahead. They play rook f7. This is just not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it. We can bring the knight into the attack now with knight d6 threats. This is just going to be an absolute massacre. Let's play it. Knight d6, knight e4. Going for knight d6. They still can't capture the bishop because I'm checking you. And I've got some discovered attack over there as well, which looks very, very strong. And now I think knight to d6 should almost seal the game here. Rook has to go to e7. And then the knight is protecting the rook, so we have time for something like bishop f6, but I don't think it's the most accurate. I want to find a killer blow. But maybe it is just the most accurate, actually. Now that I look at it again, I think it looks very, very good. Let's just play it. It's what my instinct says. It looks amazing. Rook has to go over to e7. And now bishop h6 is a check, so it's worth calculating that. King has to step to the side. But I don't see a clear follow-up, so let's not do that and potentially bring their king over to safety. Something I do really like the look of is actually queen h4. But we have to take a look at takes it, and maybe he goes king e7, which could be annoying. I think probably we should just play bishop takes on f6 here and go for this line. Oh wait, no, but bishop takes on f6, rook takes, we run into this. That's actually not good. Hold on. What about this move? This move is savage. Rook e6. Rook e6 and choke on that. Oh, baby. That's a nice one. Collinear rook move. Bringing the piece deeper into the position. I love that. Okay, we take with the pawn. Now the pawn is in the attack. I'm destabilizing the f6 square. They're hanging on for dear life, which makes a lot of sense. They don't want to just die. But where's the forcing win at? How about queen h4? Queen takes on e6. Check. And here, and check, and king takes it, and check, and knight blocks it. Wow. Hold on, we got to be careful here. I don't want to let my foot off the gas. Okay, what about the bishop check here? How about knight h4? Queen takes on e6, knight takes on g6, here. Oh dear. It's getting a little bit unstable, guys. I can't find it. I can't find the winning idea. I'm just going to take this and go for this position with some 20-something seconds, which is not good. Okay, let's take this. And I can go over here, I guess. Oh, no. Check. I've totally fumbled this, guys. Wow. Oh. What to do? I should have played this line sooner, probably. Let's analyze. Okay, so what went wrong there? Well, as far as I can tell, I think the game was played pretty well, but then I got caught up in things that weren't related to the position on the chessboard. And by that, I mean I basically just froze up in this position. I was trying to find some knockout blow that I thought would make for a good YouTube video, to be honest. That was all I was thinking about as the clock was ticking down. And after the clock ticked down to like around a minute, I was just thinking like, okay, I can't find the knockout blow. What am I going to do? Should I just keep looking, or do I play the move which was basically my backup move from the start, which is just taking on d7 and planning to play this endgame? But then I started thinking, well, I'm getting too low on time to do that. And essentially, I ended up burning all of my time, 2 minutes and 10 seconds. And it's, yeah, just not possible for me to win this. Now, of course, the actual move that wins is bishop takes on h6. It's a move I considered. I just, don't know, blanked on the follow-up, which is queen g4, unfortunately. So I wouldn't even say that was what went wrong here, though. I wouldn't say the problem is I didn't see queen g4. The problem is I wasn't thinking objectively about just playing chess, and what I should have done is just capture the knight immediately, so that we can get the game continuation much more quickly like this, and I would have found queen d1 fairly easily in the amount of time and just played c5 and then just collect the pawns, and I get to play this this knight and bishop versus rook with the pawns completely scattered and the king's still stranded, and white's completely dominating here. So I would really say that's what went wrong. But you know, these losses do really hurt. And at the end of the day, yeah, I think it's that just getting caught up in something that's not related to the chess, and then sometimes you can have a bit of a spiral in your thought process as well. But I'm going to go through the game anyway, as painful as it is. And I think, objectively speaking, everything we did here makes sense. And this is very unsound, trying to go for the flank attack when they give us the full center. So we struck in the center, and this was all very good. I mean, yeah, white's completely dominating here. Here comes the first brilliant move. Sacrifice the rook, of course, to attract the king towards the center. In comes the bishop. And this move is actually quite good when the engine sits and thinks about it. I think it's slightly preferred just capturing the pawn because it's a greedy little thing that engine is. But maybe I would have captured the pawn in like a classical game or a more serious game, but I wanted to have like some brilliant attacking showcase, so I played d5. And then came h3 and queen d4, which, you know, these moves are both very nice and also make a lot of sense. And on rook h7, rook e1, I also thought made the most sense. But then again, I could have just taken the pawn. I could have just taken the pawn and played this position very nicely here. I mean, this just wins a queen, for example. So, yeah, I mean, probably should have just taken the pawn and exposed the king. Once again, I was trying to be a bit too flashy, I think. I just wanted to bring the rook in, knight e4. It's a nice move, it's a brilliant move, but I'm spending a lot of time to come up with these. And knight d6 also played too slowly. Rook e6, another nice move, but played too slowly. Took me a minute here. And, of course, in comes the collapse. After taking this pawn with 30 seconds left, I'm just, yeah, not able to think straight, really. So, a bit of a disappointing game, but I think it should have some good educational value there in not letting your other thoughts try and interrupt your objective play, and not necessarily even objective play, but rather practical play. Trying to keep some time on your clock, and that way you don't get in trouble. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, hopefully with a better game. Bye.